Going to be a touchy subject on today's show, but should the Miami Heat trade Bam Adebayo and nuke the Miami Heat roster? What do I mean by that? Well, it would be a full rebuild, folks, and I have examples of a team that is currently on path to win the NBA Finals that did the same exact thing in the last decade. Before we do that, though, hey, if any Heat trade goes down, whether they're acquiring a player, trading a player this offseason, well, I'll tell you what, we will go live on the channel. Subscribe, turn on notifications, so when we drop videos, if breaking news happens, you never miss a thing. And you know what? On our next video, we're going to give a shout out to the first commenter club, the people that already have their notifications turned on and commented first, what's up, whatever you want in the chat. Whoever did it first, I'll give you guys a shout out on the next show. This could be you. It's another fun reason why to be part of the Noti Gang and the first commenter club. All right, the reason why this trade rumor and this idea was sparked from yours truly was I was scrolling on Twitter last Thursday, and I saw this horrific idea of trading Bam Adebayo, with the trade idea being sending Bam to the Spurs for Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, and 4 first-round picks. And at first glance, I was like, that's freaking stupid. The Heat aren't going to trade Bam. But then I thought, what if the Miami Heat decided we're going nowhere, we're stuck in the mud, let's just blow up the roster and reset everything and just acquire young players and future picks and just build? Could they do it? And would this be something I'm interested in? Well, I want to start here. I don't think the Heat would even consider trading Bam. I truly believe, I don't know this, but I believe there are people inside the Heat organization that view Bam as the most untouchable player that they might have ever had. Like, peak Dwayne Wade, obviously up there, but they view Bam in the same lens. And Adebayo's on track to become, if he's not already, a top 5 player in Heat history. In double-doubles and, like, rebounds, blocks, defensively, playoffs. Like, he's already there almost. He's also on that trajectory. So I think they want to keep him. But should they explore this possibility? I'll tell you this right now. If the San Antonio Spurs called up the Miami Heat tomorrow and offered Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, and 4 first-round picks for Bam Adebayo, I think they should accept the deal. I love Bam. Some people call me a Bam defender, to a degree to where it clouds my judgment around the Miami Heat. To that, I say no. To that, I say I love Bam. But clouds my judgment around the team? No. If they were to be offered that mega haul for Adebayo, who's 27 years old, has his offensive limitations, but is a top 5 defender in the planet, I think they should make that deal. And just based off quickly talking about it, if you get a player like Devin Vassell back, which is someone I would try to get back, and not only that deal, but like any trade the Heat make with Bam, like I'd look for a player like this. A guy who has a lot of youth to him. He's 24 years old, 1 year younger than Tyler, but has been really good. He's been in the league for 5 years. The last 4 years, he's been one of the better scorers in the NBA. Now, granted on bad teams, but you see it. He's been able to score 18, 19, 16 a game on good efficiency. He averages about 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So he's a pretty versatile player. He's really good. Like, I like Devin Vassell. It's one of the reasons why I think San Antonio is going to sneaky be a good team going into the future. Like, you look at that build that San Antonio has. You have Wemby as your 1 in an ideal world. De'Aaron Fox is your 2. And then Vassell is your 3. But now you add in Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, and you're talking dangerous team in the West. Like, I think Vassell could have a Chris Middleton-type career. Low-end 2 on a title team. Super high-end 3. Like, not going to be your lead guy, but who knows? Maybe he does take that next step and blossoms out of nowhere if he has his own team to run, if you made that trade, and let him flourish in the 305. Before we continue anymore, I do want to get a little temperature check of the Heat fans. Would you guys even consider trading Bam? Like, regardless of what you're getting offered, would you even consider it? Because some people might say, hell no, I'm not even thinking about it. Type Y for yes, type N for no. It's a pinned comment. So, hey, with YouTube ad break, scroll down, let it play, and let me know your thoughts. Now, I want to stop here and just a little quick timeout, quick pause. because I am not here on this show to talk about that Devin Vassell trade package to the Miami Heat, because that's not going to happen. But I am here to talk about choosing that path that is a rebuild, that is trading Bam, that is maybe even trading Tyler Hero as well, to completely overhaul the roster and start over, if you will. Because at the top of today's video, I mentioned that there is a team that is about to win the NBA Finals that did this very same thing. And that is the Oklahoma City Thunder. It started with trading Paul George. Remember that trade package? I think looking back at it, this is one of the most hindsight 2020. Like, we know almost how it's almost played out. It's one of the worst trades in NBA history. Clippers never won anything with Paul George. They let him go for nothing because he just signed with the Sixers in free agency. You gave up the number 2 player in the NBA and MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Gave up 5 first-round picks plus 2 more pick swaps. And by the way, one of those first-round picks they gave up ended up being Jalen Williams, who's the second best player on the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they blew up by trading their best player at the time for an absolute haul that is now leading them to an NBA Finals. And then an underrated part of this, by the way, is just a little bit later, they also traded Russell Westbrook. They got back Chris Paul, who, by the way, helped the Thunder make the playoffs the following year, ironically enough, in SGA's first season on the team. And they also got 2 protected first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. So the Thunder, in one offseason, went from a playoff team that got clapped by Damian Lillard to trading Paul George, trading Russell Westbrook. They got 7 total picks in that deal. They got Chris Paul, SGA, Danilo Gallinari, and then as well as 7 first-round picks, 4 pick swaps. Now, I want to make this abundantly clear as we show what the Heat actually, or excuse me, what the Thunder did. Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo aren't even scratching the surface of the level of play that Paul George and Russell Westbrook were doing when those trades ultimately happened. You go flash back to that year. You're a year and a half removed from Russell Westbrook winning MVP. You are a couple year removed from Paul George being top 3 in MVP voting. Like, you're talking about 2 players that could be argued top 10, top 15 players in the NBA without questions at the time that they were traded. So, no, if the Heat traded both Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, they are not getting a young player like SGA. They are not getting a veteran player like Chris Paul. They are not getting 7 first-round picks and 4 pick swaps. But they could probably get 5 combined first-round picks. 1 or 2 young players. And that, to me, sounds very, very interesting. Talk about this more in a second. But grab your Heat quarter zips today. I have this. I wore it during the season on some of our watch parties if you joined us for that. It is currently 50% off. Usually $85. It is currently $42. Wish I waited for the sale. Chatsports.com/HeatQZip sale. It's the link. It's in the description and comments of today's video. Take advantage of this unbelievable deal right now. Grab the sweet, cool quarter zip. I'm kind of in on this idea because if you could get a couple young guys, and I don't know the level of young guys you're getting. Like, I don't know how good they are. Do you prioritize first-round picks? I don't know. But I think you could get 5 first-round picks and a young guy or so for Hero, Bam combined. I'd consider that. I would. I seriously would. And some fans might be against that. Some fans might be for it. Some people might be like, well, I don't want to be bad. And I understand it. But the Heat also have, over the last decade, in my opinion, one of the best drafting resumes in the NBA. Like, excuse my typo on the Josh Richardson 2015. He did not get drafted in 2025. But just Winslow and Josh Richardson, like Richardson in the second round, that's a great pick. Winslow, probably a mess. But Bam at pick 14. That's an unbelievable hit. Tyler Hero at 13. That's an unbelievable hit. Like, I know Achua is a bummer because you passed on Maxey, but he's a rotational player you got with the 20th pick. Jovic at 27 was a great pick. Hawkes at 18, solid. Ware at 15 looks really, really good. And Pallel Larson at 44 looks really good. So you look at the last decade that the Miami Heat have had drafting, and it's hard for me to be negative if they had a Oklahoma City Thunder level of draft assets to the point where they wouldn't be able to draft players that could become building blocks like they did with Bam and Tyler Hero. But maybe in this second chance of drafting that they have players that get to the same level as Bam as Hero in terms of their all-star, all-NBA level, but are good enough and compatible enough to get you to a title, like you saw with SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. And like one thing that I will do around the Miami Heat, like I'll be critical of Pat Riley. I'll be critical of the Heat's front office for letting people go, not making the adequate trades. But you can't knock their scouting department. Adam Simon is just otherworldly. I would actually argue he is the most important person in that Heat front office. Like I really would. It's how good he has been in terms of his scouting, the developing. And this isn't even accounting for the UDFAs they have developed in Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn to have great seasons. Like, I would be intrigued with this idea because if you have a lot of draft assets and you still have a team that you could maybe like say, all right, Nikola Jovic, you have free reign to do whatever you want. Let's see if you can develop into something. Kel'el Ware now gets to get like a bunch of touches in the half court, and he's now the anchor of your defense. He could grow up a little bit. If those two grow up, those two guys pan out with a larger expanded role, more freedom, well, then you just have to make a couple good draft picks, and you're right back there. So let me ask you before we round out the show. After tossing out the idea, going through the history of the Miami Heat, what I could expect, should the Heat blow it up? Type B if they should blow it up. Type K if they should keep it rolling with what they got. Let me know your thoughts down below. Final word on today's show. I am sick and tired of being in the middle. Guys, the Heat have been the 8th seed in the NBA playoffs for 3 straight years. They shouldn't have been it this year because they were the 10th seed and just happened to win a couple play-in games. But 8th seed 3 years ago, happened to make a not Mickey Mouse, but a run to the finals. 8th seed the year after, lost in 5. 8th seed this year, lost in 4. Like, I'm stuck in the middle. I'm done. I'm done with being stuck in the play-in. I'm sick of it. Either go all in, trade for a Giannis, trade for a KD, make a bold move that you try to compete and win and get out of the play-in. Or rebuild. That's kind of where I'm at. And the one positive about making the playoffs this year is that it frees you up with your draft capital outgoing in the future. The only pick that is owed in the future now is 2027 top 10 protected to the Charlotte Hornets. You have your own 2026 pick. So if you were to do this offseason, trade for a couple young guys, trade Hero, trade Bam, and you are horrific, well, you'll have the draft capital you got in return for Bam and Hero, but you also have your own pick that would probably be in the top 10. And a draft class, by the way, that as much as I like this draft class in 25, is actually projected to be better next year. The Boozer twins, Caden and Cam, AJ Dembasta from BYU, Darren Peterson from Kansas. You've got players like Tahad Pettiford, LeBaron Philon going back to school. More people will come out of the woodwork from overseas. I haven't really looked into it that much in depthly, but those are just 6 or 7 top guys that will go probably in the lottery off dome that I can mention right now. Like, the pathway to success in the future is there if you tear it all down. I get it can be scary. I get it you don't want to do that because of the unknown, fan favorites, homegrown players like Bam and Tyler. But you have to think maybe that is something that would help Miami, and you could actually make the argument in some ways that if the Heat traded Bam and Hero this offseason for that crazy amount of capital and more, that you could actually be closer to winning a title in 5 years from now than if you just try to make minor adjustments around the roster and continuously win 40 to 45 games with Bam and Tyler. Something to think about. Well, that'll do it for today's show. If you haven't already, follow me on Twitter because I'm talking Heat basketball every single day. And if any Heat news actually drops, well, we'll have you covered over there before we make content on YouTube. At Nic_Rohloff's the handle. Make sure you're subscribed as well. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us on this show. See you tomorrow with another video. Go Heat.